final frontier. Look at that, I've gone traditional. And I'm working on some simple watercolor illustrations. You'll see that I've done 4 really relaxing galaxy paintings. These are really simple to do. You can sort of zone out and enjoy the process. If you've never tried this before, I really suggest you do. They're super fun and super easy. So I thought I would talk about the art supplies I'm using in this video. I recently purchased these silver black velvet paintbrushes, and I've only had them for a few weeks, but spoilers, they're awesome. I spent a while researching watercolor paintbrushes, and if you talk to a few of my students, you know that I'd been going back and forth about which ones to get. I've actually seen quite a number of YouTube artists using them, so they're not anything new. But in a while back, I really wanted to see if more expensive brushes were worth buying. Because I usually just hoard cheap brushes and then toss them into the scrap pile when they inevitably get messed up. I had jumped at the opportunity when I saw a set of Gray Matters watercolor brushes. I kind of bought them because I loved the way they looked. Space gray from bristle to handle. But if you've seen the movie Gray Matters, and although they have nothing in common except in name, I should have taken this as a bad sign, because oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. The only positive thing I can say about these paintbrushes are, I do love that space gray. These are the worst absolute paintbrushes I've ever used in my life. Even worse than the cheap paintbrushes I had at the time. Even worse than the cheap paintbrushes I had at the time. They don't hold a lot of water, they don't hold shape, and the zero size brush, after its initial use, frayed like crazy. I tried a bunch of hacks to get the bristles to behave, but nothing's worked. So I wasn't really ready to jump into buying another more expensive paintbrush for a while. The past few years have been difficult, to say the least, and I had sort of put my watercolor palettes and the approximately $500 worth of paints I put them in to the side and hadn't touched them. So recently things have been getting much better. I now have an apartment with lots of space to make art, and I decided to pull out my watercolors again, and it was a lot of fun. So much fun that I decided it was time to get some new paintbrushes. This time I didn't just buy on impulse, and I looked around and I found the silver black velvet brushes. And just listen to that name. Silver black velvet. Could you have a more luscious name? Can't you just feel the soft fabric when you say it? Black velvet. Melt in your mouth smooth. Okay, so I really did like the look of these brushes, but that is not why I got them. So I've been using them, and it really is something to work with real watercolor paintbrushes. I want to mention, though, that these are sable brushes, so they're made from real animal fur. If that's something you're not okay with, you'll want to avoid these 100%. Okay, since I've spent most of this video talking about paintbrushes, let's move on. So the paper I've used was some cold press Arches watercolor paper cut down to 6x6 squares. It wasn't really necessary for the project, but they came out nice. The colors are a tad bit bolder and brighter than the galaxy paintings I've done in the past on my Strathmore cold press paper. The paintings are taped down with painter's tape onto some Flatwood panels that I picked up for real cheap at the Dick Blick store that I used to live near in Brooklyn. And when I say live near, it was literally at the end of my block. It was pure heaven. But I've moved since then. If you're ever wondering where I get my art supplies from, it's most likely from dickblick.com. 99% of the time, it'll be from them. I actually put down a layer of masking fluid on each one of these illustrations to help keep that circular shape. So this masking fluid that I'm using has a special tip that will allow you to get really detailed with your application so you can pull off some really cool effects. Usually you use a paintbrush to apply the masking fluid, which is hard, so you have to be really careful because you can mess up your brushes. So you must lather up the brushes with soap to keep them nice. But keep your favorite and even semi-okay brushes away from this product, or you will destroy them. Lather up a toss pile brush instead. For the most part, this bottle removes the need for a brush. That is, unless you want a large area of your canvas to be protected. A brush can cover more ground. The paints I'm using are my Winsor and Newton paints. I handpicked the tubes I wanted, and then I put them into a watercolor palette. And that's what it actually says on it, watercolor palette. I don't remember what it's called, but it's the same one Liquitex likes to use on her channel. For the black, I used my Dr. P.H. Martin's Black Star India ink in matte. I've used others, including Speedball, which is a major brand, but I really love the Black Star ink. It's a deep black and opaque when you use it at its full strength. I occasionally splatter the canvas with water, which just adds a bit of texture to the painting. I'm splattering the canvas with white. This is the Liquitex white acrylic ink. It's opaque, so it shows up on the black and colored areas of your canvas. I use a stiff brush and stick the ends of the paintbrush into the ink, and I run it along the top of the bristles just above my workspace to splatter the paint. I'm going to leave you here for just a little while so that you can watch the process from beginning to end on this last painting. that will be all for today. Thanks for taking the time to look at this video. If you liked the video and would like to see more, please comment below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications. While you're at it, share this video with all of your artist friends. See you next time.